Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great Saturday morning so far, and welcome to another broadcast in The Authentic Married Woman. My name is Karen Seitz, and I am a coach and a mentor for married women to teach them how to find themselves again, or to find themselves for the first time ever. What happens when we are married, when we get into relationships? We lose ourselves. We don't know who we are anymore. And as a result, we become unhappy on the inside and we begin to project that unhappiness onto our marriage, onto our husbands, onto our lives. So, the key to having a healthy, thriving marriage and relationship is finding who you are again and taking responsibility for your happiness. And then you begin to project your happiness onto your marriage, onto your husband, onto your life. And that's what I coach and mentor other women to do as a way to turn their marriages around and solve the problems that they're facing in their marriage and in their life and with themselves. So, welcome if you're new to the group or joining a Facebook Live for the first time. I just wanted to jump on real quick this morning to talk a little bit about why you're not sure if your husband is the one for you anymore. And I was inspired by the member post that I posted in the Facebook group yesterday, where a woman, one of our members, is facing knowing that she needs to take her walls down in her marriage, that that's the only way things are going to work, but also not being sure if her and her husband are a good fit anymore, and not knowing if she can love him like she knows that she should. And I know that many of you feel this way. I've been there before in my own marriage and turned it around. So I wanted to come on and just share a little bit about why that takes place, that problem that you're facing as you maybe feel like you've fallen out of love with your husband, maybe feel like you're not attracted to him anymore and there's no connection left, that you're in that place of feeling like you're just roommates and just going through the motions in your marriage. You feel like you've lost that spark that was once there, and you're feeling disappointed that this wasn't how you imagined that your marriage would turn out. You're maybe disappointed in yourself or maybe disappointed in your husband and the things that he's doing or not doing that you feel contribute to the problems in your marriage. And this is a really, really common problem that many of us face in our marriage. We hit that point where we're not feeling like our husband is the one anymore, or maybe we're just not a good fit. And we've got to dig deeper to see what's going on in ourselves that's creating that experience in our marriage. So that's what I want to come on and talk about today. And just a quick reminder, the three principles that set the framework for this group, because what we're really about, what the authentic married woman is about, is not necessarily working on your marriage or working together with your husband to solve the problems in your marriage. We're really about empowering you to focus on the things that you can change in yourself that can have a dramatic effect on your relationship with your husband and on your whole life. And what that does is that puts you in the driver's seat to make the changes you want in your life. And that's hard work and that's not for everyone. And not everyone agrees with that point of view, and that's okay. But I'm here to tell you firsthand that it works and it's so much easier and so much simpler than putting the focus on your marriage and wanting to work on your marriage or trying to change your husband when you are willing to do the hard work on yourself using the right tools and the right strategy. You can see amazing changes in yourself and in your marriage. So that's what these three principles are about. It's about putting the focus on yourself and putting you in the driver's seat to be able to get to where you want to be in your marriage and your life. So the first principle is that you are responsible for your happiness 100%, that there's no one and no thing that can make you happy. And the second principle is that you're the only person you have any control over to change. I think we all know that at some level, but we can really struggle with accepting that. And sometimes we get so lost in the drama or the chaos or the problems in our marriage that we lose sight of that. We lose sight of that we only have control to change ourselves. So it's really important to know that you can't change your husband. And the more you try to change your husband, the more withdrawn and distant he's going to become, or the more defensive he's going to become, and the more he might rebel, because that's what we do. When people try to change us, we dig our heels in, we get stubborn, and that's exactly what happens when you try to change your husband. So you have to know you can't change him, and he can't change your experience for you. And that is so important to remember, so you can keep that focus on yourself and empower yourself to change. And the third principle is that what it means to be authentic, whether that's an authentic married woman or just an authentic woman, period, it's about having a relationship with yourself, knowing who you are, feeling good about yourself, doing the things in your life that help you get to know who you are, that help you build self-value and feel good about yourself. And when you have a relationship with yourself, you do not need walls to protect you, because you've got you. You have your back. You have your strength underneath those walls, which is your softness. And we call that strength without fear. So when you have a relationship with yourself, you can drop your walls and show up fully as yourself, instead of pretending or hiding behind walls or guarding yourself. And that creates huge change in any relationship, most importantly, your marriage. So let's come back to talking about this problem that we face, that again, maybe you feel like you've fallen out of love with your husband. You're not attracted to him anymore. You're disappointed in who he's turned out to be. You might be disappointed in yourself, disappointed in marriage, that it's not what you thought it would be. You've lost the spark. You feel like you're just going through the motions. And I want to talk about three things that you're maybe doing, or three things I see all the time in working with women. These are things I had to look at in myself, and I see women making these mistakes unknowingly all the time, that creates this problem. It creates the experience of not being sure if your husband is the one anymore, and feeling like you've fallen out of love. You want to look at these three things, and see these things in yourself, because these are the things you have control over to change, that will help you feel reconnected to yourself and allow you to reconnect with your husband, so you can remember why you wanted to marry him, why you wanted to be with him, and turn things around, and get to that place that you want to be in your marriage, and solve the problem. So the first one I want to talk about, one of the biggest reasons that we feel like we've fallen out of love and our husband isn't the one for us anymore, and maybe we're not a good fit, is that you might be on the fence. And what that means, if you kind of imagine that visual of being on the fence, straddling a fence, you're not making a decision one way or the other, whether you want to stay and what I say, put your big girl pants on and face the issues in your marriage, and persevere, and find your resilience, and close your back doors and commit 100% to see what it can be, because that's the only way you're going to be able to see changes in your marriage, is to close those back doors and go all in. So you're either not making a decision that way, or you're not making a decision to leave. And so you've put yourself on top of the fence, and you're completely stuck. And when we're on top of the fence, ladies, when we're not making a decision one way or another, what ends up happening is we look for all the reasons to leave. We look for all the reasons to justify why we are on the fence, and why we have one foot on the door or out the door. And that creates a miserable experience for ourselves, and it keeps us focusing on the things that we think our husband is doing wrong, and all the things that are wrong with the marriage, to justify why we want to leave. So you're not going to see the good things. You're not going to be able to see the things you love about your husband. And what ends up happening is all the things that you don't like about yourself, all your own insecurities, doubts, and fears. What we do as humans is we begin to project that out onto our husbands and onto our marriage, so we can't see in any of the good things. So that's one mistake that we make, is being on the fence, and that's going to kill any intimacy or affection or love that we have towards ourselves or towards our husbands. So the second mistake that we often make, and that I see time and time again with the women that I work with, is, again, this kind of comes back. You focus on everything that's wrong. You're so focused on the problems. You're so focused on the changes that aren't happening, that again reinforces the reasons why you want to get out of there and why you want to leave. And what we're experts in and what we really focus on and what we teach is recognizing how we feel bad about ourselves, the ways in which we've lost ourselves in the marriage, the ways we've become codependent and tangled up with our husbands is a reflection of that lack of relationship with ourselves. So when we don't feel good about ourselves on the inside, we're not proud of who we are, we don't know who we are, which is really common. Because we've been in relationships almost our whole lives, whether that be with our family or relationships with men or friendships, we lose ourselves in those relationships and we get our sense of identity and purpose and meaning from those relationships, which keep us disconnected from who we are. And we don't know who we are. And the result of that is not feeling good about ourselves and what we do as humans, because it's very vulnerable and very exposing to see those ways in which we don't feel good about ourselves. What we do as a defense mechanism is we put those things on our husband and put those things on our marriage, not recognizing that's how we feel about ourselves and that that's where we need to put the focus and that's where we need to do the work. So the third mistake that we make or that we miss a lot is recognizing it's not our marriage and not our husband that's making us unhappy. It's recognizing that we are unhappy on the inside. And that was something that was really hard for me to see. You've probably heard me talk a little bit in other videos about what I call the happy pill. I was a happy pill person. I pretended I was happy. I pretended I felt good about myself. I thought positive thoughts. I read all the books and did all the mantras to pretend I felt good about myself and that I was happy on the inside. But that all covered up the ways in which I didn't feel good about myself, that I wanted to be somebody else my whole life. I was always wishing I was somebody else or had different qualities, looked different, had a different body, had different gifts, had confidence. Those were all things that I wish that I had or I wish that I was. And I used my happy pill, pretending like everything was great and pretending I was happy to cover all of that up. And what ends up happening in a marriage or a relationship is on the inside, unconsciously, we're unhappy. We wish we were someone else and we wish we had a different life and we don't feel good about ourselves. And we end up projecting that out onto our life, out onto our world, onto our husbands, onto our marriage. And we have to go in and we have to be willing to take responsibility for our happiness and be honest that the reason we're unhappy in our marriage or the reason we're unhappy with our husbands is because on the inside, we are unhappy. And so, of course, if we're unhappy on the inside and we're focusing on everything that's wrong, if we're on the fence, you're not going to feel connected or attracted to your husband. You're going to be convinced that he's the problem. And instead of facing those things within yourself, what ends up happening is we run. Things get hard and we don't want to do the hard work to resolve those issues that have been with us almost our whole lives. And so we think, no, I need to get out of this relationship. We're just not a good fit anymore. I need to go somewhere else. But wherever you go, there you are. And I've done several videos on that. So you've got to be willing to really put the mirror up in front of yourself and be willing to dive in and look at yourself and work on yourself in order to truly know whether or not you and your husband are a good fit. So if you're feeling these ways in your marriage, I really encourage you to dive in and do the work on yourself to resolve your unhappiness on the inside. If you're unhappy in your marriage, I know this is a tough pill to swallow, but if you're unhappy in your marriage, it's a mirror showing you that you are unhappy in yourself. And until you work on that, you're not going to know what you have in your marriage and you're not going to know if you and your husband are a good fit. So here's the solution. The first solution is you've got to do the work to take responsibility for your choice to be in your marriage, to understand that no one's making you be there. And one of the things that we lose sight of is a lot of the issues or challenges we have in our marriage and with our husband. We knew those things before we got married. So you have to take responsibility for the man you chose to marry, for being in your marriage, that no one's making you be there. So if you're still there, wouldn't it make sense to get off the fence and go all in and work really hard on yourself to drop your walls, to look within, to solve those ways in which you don't feel good about yourself, to untangle yourself, to see what you have, to see what things can be. So that's the first solution, is taking responsibility. No one's making you be there. The second is taking responsibility for your happiness, which means you need to start to do the things that build self-value, that help you feel good about who you are. So remembering the things that you love to do that maybe you've stopped doing because of the responsibilities of being married and having children and being a mom and a career, to start to make time for yourself. It's not just going to happen. A lot of times we get in a story of, I just have no time for myself. um, you have to you have to make it. You have to do the work to make time for yourself, to spend time with yourself, doing the things that you love and that you enjoy, that help you fill your own cup, so that you're not wanting your husband or your kids or your job or your family or whoever or whatever in your life to fill your cup. That you've got to fill your cup, and that starts by putting yourself first in a healthy way, making time for yourself and re-engaging in the things that you love that you've maybe lost sight of. Um, you also have to, in order to take responsibility for your happiness, you have to start to untangle yourself from your husband. Again, we get lost and want our husband to give us our sense of self and well-being and our happiness. And when they can't, because nobody can, no one and no thing can make us happy, when they can't do that for us, we blame them. We project onto them why we're unhappy. So you have to do the work to untangle yourself and become whole and complete in yourself. And then the last piece is to get help, to find someone who's gone through this, a true teacher who has done the work, who knows how to get off the fence, who knows how to find happiness within. Get help. You can't go it alone. If the things that you're trying, the books you've been reading, the counseling you've been doing, if those things worked, you wouldn't be stuck in these problems. So you've got to find a new way and find someone who's done the work, who can guide you and lay out a step-by-step process to help you get to where you want to be. If you go it alone, you will be alone. I tried doing it on my own for a long time and just kept going around in circles. I thought I was getting better for a little bit, and then I'd run up against the same problems again, and it was so frustrating. So just a recap of what I wanted to come on and talk about today quickly, that if you're not sure if your husband's the one for you anymore, and you feel like you've fallen out of love, you're not attracted to him anymore, you feel like you've lost the spark, you feel like you're stuck in being roommates and going through the motions, you need to look at these 3 mistakes that you might be making that are keeping you in that place, that you're on the fence. You've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And when you're on the fence with 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you're looking for reasons to leave. You're plain and simple. You're looking for the things that are wrong to validate why you should leave and why it's not going to work. You're focusing on everything that's wrong, all the problems, and getting lost in the chaos and the drama of the problems. And most likely you're unhappy on the inside. If you're unhappy in your marriage, it's a reflection and a mirror showing you that you are unhappy on the inside. So the solution is to start to take responsibility for your choice to be in your marriage, that no one's making you be there. You need, you need to take responsibility for your happiness, putting yourself first, making time for yourself, doing the things you love to do, and doing the things in your life that build value in yourself, that make you feel good about who you are. Because when you feel good about who you are and you're happy on the inside, you begin to project that onto your marriage and that onto your husband and your life. So you start to see the good things, which allows you to go all in and close those back doors and reconnect. And then the third is to get help. That you can't do this alone. And if you're trying all the things, the conventional wisdom that we've all been taught to use to fix our marriages, the books, couples counseling, individual counseling, all those things are band-aids and short-term solutions. So you need to find someone who's gone through this, who's come out the other side, and knows how to guide you through and lead you through. So thank you all so much for being here today. If this is you, and you're sick and tired of being here, then know that I can help, that we can get on a call and have an hour discussion to help you get clear on the real problems in your marriage and help you come up with a step-by-step game plan. And this isn't for everyone. What I teach and what I do isn't for everyone, and I can't help everyone. But I'll be really honest if I can help you, and if I can't, I'll send you in the right direction, and give you some resources that can help you with where you are at. So if you'd like to have that conversation and just spend an hour getting crystal clear on yourself and your marriage and what you need to do to get to where you want to be, then let's talk. And you can go to anewlc.com/talk. That's ANEWLC.com/talk. And you can book your call with me. So thanks so much for being here. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.